any point. Good luck. Have fun. On my mark at 3, 2, 1.
It's the 2024 Mid-Atlantic Super Series, Race 1. Here we go.
Go!
As you can see, the races start pretty quick here. It's my plan to try to start slower and to work up through the field. Last year I finished in the bottom half of this category 140 to 49 race, and so try to keep my heart rate low and yet not lose too much in terms of position. At this point, I thought I got through the first turn pretty good and in a decent position. I was really feeling like it was actually going pretty easy, and I was keeping my heart rate under control. Sitting here behind these guys and being this close at the beginning of the race is a lot better than where I started off last year. I really felt like I could pass these guys. However, just with the tight turns and the slippery conditions, that's going to be a theme all day today in this race. It's just that there was a lot more mud than I was expecting. But anyway, I decided I was going to wait till we hit this first steep hill and at least get around this guy as I can see the gap forming up ahead. I quickly caught up to the back of this pack here, and I decided that I wasn't worth hammering too hard. I wanted to keep that heart rate low, so you'll start seeing these guys sort of pull away from me. I do catch a few of them throughout the race. As you can see in the picture, though, like it's sunny. It seems pretty nice out, but weather is going to be another issue that we run into during this race. Temperature wise, it was like maybe high 30s, low 40s for most of this race, and it was pretty windy, but in the trees you didn't really feel that too much. So what we've seen so far is just the beginning of the prologue section of the course. We hit this a bunch of times. The prologue section is probably my favorite section on the course. It's just the most flow, has some interesting features, kind of like this rock wall here coming up. You know, it's not too rocky. It actually feels like you're getting a little bit of speed. Up here around this turn, you'll see on the left the Category 3 riders have to take that left and shortcut it. Category 1 and 2, we get to go down this awesome downhill. The big difference is just try to come back up it. The technical nature of the climbs that you're going to see here, it just makes it really hard for some of the Cat 3 riders to be able to make that up. There's a couple little drop sections that we went over, some tight turns, and then really the tricky part is just some technical climbing especially when you're trying to go at race pace in and out of turns. A couple times throughout here, I made a mistake here or there, cost me a little bit of time. One of the themes that you're going to see consistently on this course is flat tires. Within this first lap, there are at least 3 guys that I passed with flats because this is a very rocky and not well ridden in course. It's a fun course, it's challenging, but it's not an easy course for your tires, and so that played a factor. That was Travis Harnish right here on the prologue lap that already had himself in a little bit of trouble with some flats. No worries though, you're going to see him again later. This here starts one of the hardest uphill sections. This I'm riding over right now is super loose, baby head size rocks right into this little rock feature. And last year it was really difficult to do. I knew it was coming, and I was really surprised as to how easily I handled that for the most part this year. But the GoPro obviously flattens things out quite a bit. That's a really steep climb, and that makes it even more difficult with no momentum to be able to get up over those things. You can catch glimpses of that pack that was ahead of me, just a little bit ahead. I was kind of surprised I didn't really lose too much time to them trying not to hammer the uphill sections here. So yeah, felt like I was in a good position here just a few minutes into the race. So coming out of this turn, later on you'll see they actually put a little barrier there because you could have cut right across the field if you weren't paying attention. But yeah, this is one of the few pedally and fast sections that you're going to see on this course. And for me, that's a strength of mine, so I was able to use that a couple times just to make up some time. Cutting back into the woods here, this is just some more of the better flow sections on this trail. This is exactly how it finishes as well. So we're coming closer to the end of the prologue lap, and we kind of get to see how the course finishes. Again, we end up doing this 4 times, the prologue, and then once each of the 3 laps that we end up doing. So basically right here we drop onto the start finish area, and you'll see we pass the finish line, and that marks the end of the prologue, beginning of the first lap now. One of the challenging things of this course is trying to get feeds, because as we pass the feed zone here, we're literally at the highest speed that you're going to get on the entire course, and that kind of can pose a bit of an issue. One of the other interesting things is we're being at the high speed, you're kind of in the zone, hammering and stuff, and as you're going to see, we run into a little bit of a surprise here.
Whoa! Well, that was unexpected. Oh my gosh. I don't think I'll need any more nutrition. That mud's enough.
Here I'm talking to the guy in front of me, Brian. Finally caught back up to him. I feel like I'm getting ready to race with him, and man, we hit that mud section, and I was not expecting that. You would think with it being that close to the start finish line, I would have pre-rode that or something, but nope. And so I ended up with a whole entire face full of mud, and this whole bottom section was so muddy.
Oh my
and
gosh. Well,
yeah,
they said the course
that ends
dried
up
out.
playing a factor in this race.
This is dry, I don't know. That's all right. I wanted to wash my bike again anyway.
Brian's a good guy. He's putting up with my lame jokes here in the middle of the race. So I'm just trying to catch up to him, and you're going to see this, I think, pretty consistently. On any of those little short, punchy climbs or whatever, he just hammers so hard out of those. And I'm more like a steady effort guy, and so I'll catch up to him, and then he'll punch away, and it's like I don't end up passing him for quite a while. This type of chunk is pretty typical for this section of the course. It makes up the main bigger loop, especially down at the bottom of the hill, but basically throughout the whole course there's just a lot of rocks. Nothing really big, you know, I'm going over boulders or anything, but man, like, it gets really chunky. And down here at the bottom, everything was wet, the roots were wet, the rocks were wet, everything was slippery, so you had to really just be careful. And yeah, foreshadowing there.
Again, here we go. Oh, good night. Yeah, I'm good. I had the right line and I missed it. Well, that's not how you do it. I think had he not been there, I would have made it. Just gonna get there where my shifter is. Oh, come on. All right, so our brake lever and shifter are in the wrong spot now. Give me a chance to bring them back down.
So yeah, I ended up like actually knocking my brake lever and shifter up into a higher position, and I'm looking for a spot that I can actually bang on them and knock them down. Right there, you kind of hear I did it, and amazingly enough, with just a couple taps, I hit it right down exactly to where they were, and no other damage on the bike or anything from that little slip.
Go on now. Good? Oh, sorry to hear that.
there was flat tire number 2, and you can see why. It's really chunky. We're a little bit higher up on this backside of the course now, and yeah, you're able to see some of the chunk that we hit. Brian has scooted off away from me. You can see a couple guys ahead of me here now that I'm moving up on. And it's a couple of single speeders. They started a couple minutes ahead of us. And yeah, hopefully I can get back up to them pretty quick here. I feel like it took so long to reel these guys in. I was moving, I guess, just barely any faster than they were. But you can hear them talking up here. It's flat number 3 that we get to pass.
Good job, fellas.
Yeah, it's definitely going.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Nice job, thank you.
Got everything you need?
Finally making it through some of the nastier rock stuff, and you can see speeds increasing, and just having an opportunity to catch a little more flow. And yet rocks are always there. This course never ends when it comes to the rocks. I really do like this section. It kind of reminds me of the prologue on the other side of the road, just faster and flowier than a lot of that chunk that we've been hitting, and it's kind of nice to have a little bit of high speed in the race. Kind of interesting how spread out some of these races can be, and you don't really see anybody for a while, especially when it's so twisty and turny, and it makes it feel like you're not always racing, other than you're just really pushing yourself. Back on the prologue side of the course now, finishing up lap 1. You can see the weather is changing. It's starting to get gray. That's, like I said, going to play a factor here.
doing. Oh, here come the 50 plus guys. Much later in the race than last year. See if I can hold them off to the finish.
Foreshadowing that is not the 50 plus guys, and on top of that, you're going to see me make a couple of little mistakes here as I try to push it through this section.
It's definitely getting slippery. Come on. All right. Just getting slick.
I was definitely starting to get frustrated with myself a little bit. Too stupid little mistakes in areas that I know I can ride, and I've ridden already today even. But I guess that's just part of racing. In my mind, I had a whole pack of the 50 plus guys who started 2 minutes behind me, chasing me down right now, and I wanted to at least complete the first lap before they caught me. But like I said, it's not the 50 plus guys. You can see the barrier was up this time. They put a little bit of course tape on there. I'm going to start talking to the guy behind me and make out a plan.
I'll pull you, then you can swing around.
Nothing like mistakenly pulling the guy you're actually racing against, thinking he's in a different class.
Yeah. That's raw, dude. Crushing it.
As you can see, you might have recognized him from earlier. That is Travis Harnish. He ends up getting second in this race. Shortly I come to that realization.
Not 50 plus. Just another guy in my race. But he's fast.
So right here at the end of lap 1, it starts to rain, and I love nothing more than 40 degrees and raining. I think the muffler on my GoPro is messed up, basically from that wreck that I had earlier.
Sugar. Sugar. Red, 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 red. Woo! Woo!
So my son, he was doing hand-ups for me. I had to call out what I wanted in my bottle there. And I can see Brian up against the tree line. I finally caught up to him. I hadn't really seen much of him since I did that crash earlier on lap 1. Still enjoying the mud pits here.
Nasty. That is, yeah, gross. Well, lap 1 done.
I'm working super hard now that I have him in my sights. It's nice to have somebody to chase down, but it's going to take me a little while to finally actually catch up to him.
He's not ready to go back over here.
It's kind of like dangling that proverbial carrot out in front of you. Every turn I can see him. Every once in a while on a straightaway I can see him, and I'm thinking, man, am I even getting closer at this point? But like I said, eventually I'll get there.
Go on that turn.
This time around I pre-planned the dismount and decided not even to try it with the rain that was coming down and the wet routes. I just wasn't going to chance it. I found out later that one of the girls that I coach rode it every time, and so I kind of feel wussy about that. Nevertheless, for me at this point, it was probably the best choice. I didn't show this hill last time, but this is probably the longest and one of the steepest climbs on this course, and it really is a lot steeper than what it looks like here. It goes on for quite a while, but in the end I think it's still maybe a minute worth of climbing. So this is a course full of like really punchy and short, steep climbs. Just coming off of a gravel road here, and Brian is still like right up there, and kind of just working my way forward. You can see him off in the distance.
Doing all right, man. That's fine. Pass me either way. You let me know when you're ready. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead. Nice work, sir. Yep.
So that one was actually one of the 50 plus guys, and so yes, I finally did make it a lap without them catching me. I think he was the only guy to actually pass me after this point of the race, so he was moving pretty good, beat me by a couple of minutes. For a little bit there I thought, oh well, maybe I can hang on his wheel and he'll bring me back up to Brian, but yeah, that didn't work out. So I watch him and see how he's taking these turns, and I think it actually helped me close that gap on Brian a little bit. at least while you watch me chase Brian down, you get a pretty good picture of how chunky a lot of this course is. There's all just so many of those rock sections, and these are not rocks and areas that have been ridden in a lot. This is a course that is all on private land, and it has had some races, and I had a short track series this spring, but in the end it really doesn't get ridden that much, and so these are really sharp and generally just pointy rocks that you're trying to avoid. I think finally at this point you can say that I actually caught up to Brian, and I get to ride on his wheel for a little bit here. And again, you can see that on the short punchier climbs or on any corner, he just sprints out a little bit and puts a little bit of space, and then I'm right back on his wheel.
I hate that tree. Every time.
Yeah, right?
Just pops right up there.
Yeah.
You know it's coming too.
So I know that there's a nice field coming up right here, a real wide flat area to try to zoom by them, so I'm just hanging on until we make it to that trail where I can make a move.
Oh, they're great. I had to work hard to catch you. Moving all right, man. Yeah.
He was kind enough to let me pass. I ended up with 5th place on the day, and hopefully you enjoyed riding along with me, and look forward to doing this again in the future.